The Earth's population is rapidly approaching 8 billion. What that means is there are 8 billion opinions on the planet. Some agree with each other and some don't. When any opinion is not in agreement with our personal position, our hearts race, palms get sweaty, and depending on the severity of the disagreement, we might even scream obscenities. Yeah, we do. It's not who we are, but we have become slaves, addicted to the dopamine rush of chaos. And that's why we react emotionally. Thich Nhat Hanh said when he was persecuted in Vietnam, he had to change how he felt. He had to perceive the world through a different lens in order to survive. We too can change our reactions in order to survive. It's not going to be easy, but there are tools to help you do it. So how do you remain calm and peaceful amid the chaos? First of all, know deeply in your heart that there is balance in the universe. It's like a pendulum that swings from one extreme to the other. But after an infinity of swinging back and forth, there's actually an overall balance to it. Each of those 8 billion opinions have creative consequences. They cause the pendulum to keep moving from one extreme to another. And what happens is you get the fight or flight response. The typical reaction is fight or run away. And either one of these reactions does perpetuate the same thinking. When something happens, you immediately judge the thing or the person causing the thing. That sets up chemical reactions that bombard your various energy bodies, and that's not necessarily a good thing. So what if you simply became an observer without any judgment? Becoming the observer gives you power over the thing. You don't take sides, you simply observe it. You can observe what's happening, how it affects others, and an even better situation, observe your own emotional reactions. When you begin observation, you have started phase 1 of becoming a catalyst. Every opinion on either side of a position has a charge. We covered that in earlier segments. Phase 2 of becoming the catalyst is to find the common ground underneath the many positions. Just like these circles intersect at some point, the common ground is there, but you have to ferret it out. For example, the Shakira-Jennifer Lopez performance at the Super Bowl presented 2 differing opinions. Those judging said they were women exploited or women celebrated. The observers looked for common ground and said, this is a cultural lesson. Using music and dance, this performance presented the issues that divide the nation in non-threatening ways. Cultural diversity, celebrating Hispanics, was presented with ease. Judgments that women over 50 could not dance non-stop for 20 minutes while climbing a pole were suspended. The real observers saw a powerful, fit, 50-year-old. Observers see behind the presentation in front of you, and they look for the common ground. That's part of becoming a catalyst. And how? How do you do that? Instead of anchoring to the one opinion, especially the one you already hold as right and just and holy, they detach from the opinion and release the charge around it. Catalysts need to ask this question: what if I'm not right? And can two opinions exist in the same container without anger or hatred of the other? This woman is Dia Khan, and it's a wonderful story that she presents of becoming a catalyst. Dia Khan is a Muslim human rights activist, and she's a documentary filmmaker who lives in the UK. Neo-Nazis were coming to her town, and she decided she wanted to sit with the very people who hated her. Could they connect on a shared humanity instead of the things that separate them? Bravely, she contacted the leader of the Nazi group and asked to meet with him. She offered to go to his city, his neighborhood, and to a specific motel. She was terrified. Would he bring his people? Would they be armed? Was she going to be safe? The leader of the Nazi group arrived alone, and at first the meeting was very awkward. Then the dynamic shifted. Neo-Nazis are used to confrontation, and he was ready for that. But she did not start with confrontation. She sought the common ground. Dia asked him about his family and his life. She shared stories of her family and her life. They talked about politics and their differences. But the earlier stories of their families became a cushion. They had shared a common foundation, and they were no longer fearful of each other. They both found that they were simply people with different opinions, but with a shared foundation. Balanced neutrality is what you're hoping to achieve as a catalyst. This is very hard work, but all of us have done hard things before. Now, I'm not suggesting you contact the local neo-Nazi group, but in your own mind, where creative thoughts originate, there is room to open up, to engage, and to find common ground with others who don't share your opinions. When you detach from your own views and allow, the emphasis is on allow others to have their views, you're working on soothing the emotional harshness around your thoughts and beliefs and your opinions. And it begins with you, doesn't it? If you want to give this a try, consider starting to do this with family members who hold totally different opinions than yours. I'd suggest you not do this at Thanksgiving, though, okay? Find out why they hold those opinions. Ask questions without putting them down or belittling them. There's a lot that can go wrong with this. But I'll tell you, there's a lot that can go right. Negativity is out there, and it'll always be out there. But find the balance and release the charge you're holding around your own ready-made rebuttals. Your intent is to find out about them, not tell them about you. They already know about you. It will be very hard, but shut up and just listen. Withhold your judgments. And if you feel like you have to talk, ask them, how do you feel? Why do you feel that way? When did you first start feeling that way? In pages 19 to 25 in your book, we address these topics that we've just been discussing. I will tell you that this is probably the most difficult spiritual discipline, is maintaining equanimity. Becoming the catalyst asks you to reach for the middle way, to practice Wu Wei, which is the art of allowing. Its esoteric meaning is, listen to this now, its esoteric meaning is action in non-action. I said that to somebody several months ago, and I said, what do you mean by action in non-action? Action in non-action means not getting charged up about something. One can take action without attachment to the outcome. Wu Wei is balancing those polar extremes. Wu Wei is walking the middle way, which is truly the most difficult spiritual discipline. If there's a boulder in the road, water doesn't take on the boulder. It recognizes, oh, there's a boulder in the middle of the stream, and water just flows smoothly around it. It works with the natural order of things. If you want lettuce to grow in your garden, you do not plant radish seeds. The natural world operates on the principles of Wu Wei, or balance. And for catalysts, this is the work to achieve this most difficult spiritual discipline. This is the middle way. And for that reason, Zen masters gave their students this koan to work on. Some of them spent lifetimes studying it and they never got it. Others saw it one time and became masters themselves. It bears learning this koan if you want to figure out how to maintain balance in the world. Everything exists. Nothing exists. Avoid both extremes. When matter and antimatter collide, there is light. This is one more bit of trivia from the Quantum Physics Book of Life before Patricia comes on. When matter and antimatter collide, there is a huge explosion, and the result of that explosion is light. Using the quantum physics principles, I hold out the hope that when two people with two contrarian positions collide, that enlightenment may just occur. So now let's go cut some cords and plant some lettuce as Patricia comes and teaches the crux of this meditation and the Garden of Eden.
Okay, so this next practice is going to use symbolism and metaphor to heal at the deepest levels. You know, Neville Goddard is known very much for imagining what you want in order to bring it into being. He's known for revisioning. He is known for creating the reality that you wish to live in. But beyond all that, the most important lessons he taught was about forgiveness at the deepest level. That there are no exceptions to who should be forgiven. There is no such thing as unforgivable. This practice that we're going to learn today is all about forgiveness. And it is, in my opinion, one of his more powerful practices that focuses on this. But before we get there, we're going to start at the beginning. And first we need to understand just how powerful we are. The fundamental truth of all of what we've been teaching is this: everything is within you. You are not separate from the greater reality. The greater reality is the source of you, and it is who you really are. Now, I'm using the term the greater reality. It is also called the field. It has also been called God. It is also called consciousness. So here we are conscious. And consciousness is creative power. And anything we hold in our consciousness becomes a reality. Anything I hold against anyone brings that condition into being for me. And when many beings hold the same thing in consciousness, they bring that condition into the larger world. And that's what we've been talking about this entire retreat. The process of becoming a catalyst means you need to recognize that. And being a catalyst means changing you within so that your world within changes, and the field itself is imprinted by your changed world. At the end of the day, there is no one to change but ourselves. And doing that, doing the work within, has tremendous power to help change each other, heal each other, and because of that, heal our world. So this practice, the Garden of Eden practice, is a very profound and powerful one, and one that I found in one of Neville's lesser-known texts. It uses imagination and metaphor to heal. Now, imagination is the creative pattern that is used. Metaphor and symbolism happen to be languages of the soul. So when we're using something like that, the soul understands it. Because the practice itself is very much a fantasy work. It feels like this isn't even a real thing. And yet the soul will understand the analogy of it. So these books, they were written long ago as consciousness descended into darkness. So if you remember earlier in the day, very early, when Jo covered in her review about the ages that we go through cyclically, and that we are currently in a dark age. At the time of the last golden age and silver ages, the sages began to put the secrets and the truth into books, because they knew that our consciousness would become so oblivious that the great truths of who we were and what we are would be lost. Neville used this tradition, the Bible. He used Judeo-Christian symbolism. But all of these sacred truths, they all teach the same thing. Scriptures are merely teaching stories about the human condition. They are meant to show us how to live well and be a good person. The sages themselves intermix the history of the day with symbolism and metaphor to reveal subtle spiritual truths. But every story that was contained in these books were meant specifically for the culture of their audience. And that's why so many of them are so badly interpreted today. Even the cultures in which they lived have changed dramatically from the thousands of years ago when they were originally written. So, for the Garden of Eden practice that we're going to do, as I said, Neville used the Holy Bible and the Old Testament, which equates to the Judaic tradition. And he tells us from his studies with Abdullah that Eden represents what we call the greater reality or the field. And as we know, all possibilities exist in the field. Adam and Eve themselves represent the human condition. They are not a human couple. Together, they represent a human being. Adam represents the physical and Eve the mind. Mind, or Eve, is the cause, and Adam, the physical, the effect. In Genesis, we are told that Adam was put into a deep slumber, and nowhere is he ever awakened. And yet every spiritual tradition up here teaches this, that we are asleep and dreaming. Let me reiterate. Every spiritual tradition teaches this. We are asleep and dreaming. Einstein called reality a persistent illusion. Adam being asleep is important because it means he only dreamed he was driven from the garden. We have actually never left the garden or the greater reality. Any of us, we are still in it. Earlier today, I had you put your hands up wide and asked you to imagine the real you beyond your fingertips. And you can see that it's limitless and intersects every other being on this planet. Because we are all part of that greater reality, and that greater reality is good and goodness. So, Eden isn't so much a place as it is a field of infinite possibilities. Possibilities that can coalesce into form. Adam was given responsibility for tending the Garden of Eden. Because he was, and he represents us, we are also stewards of the garden. And it is our job to tend and keep it healthy. Remember, this is all symbolism that our souls understand. And our souls are busy creating. This work that we're about to do is done by our thoughts and our beliefs and our emotions, but it is not a physical labor. It is using our imagination very constructively. So the garden itself. This is actually Bouchard Gardens. I've been there. I don't know if any of you have. It is a marvelous place to visit if you ever get the chance. It's in Vancouver Island in the, I have to remember, I call it the sound of I want to puka because it's a sound of I want to puka because it's very rough and causes seasickness to many people. It's on the west coast, just off of Vancouver, British Columbia. So, here's the story of the Garden of Eden. In the garden grows every kind of tree. And the trees and the plantings in here, in this garden, represent every possible life quality and condition. So there's trees that represent health and wealth and self-worth and the ability to love and integrity and trust. They're all there. And every single person has a plot in this garden. You can imagine it's infinitely large. There's a river that flows through the center of the garden, and its waters are healing. It is called the River of Life, and it nourishes all these trees. And it removes that which does not serve us. You, as a keeper of the garden, can use this practice to help someone who is struggling. If you know someone who is exhibiting self-defeating behavior, such as anger and addiction, dishonesty, or any other negative response to life, you can use this practice to help them. You can help heal their trees. You can bring the waters of life to their trees. Perhaps you know someone whose life seems like a series of struggles. Maybe they're always ill. Maybe they're always out of work or in debt. Whatever they're wrestling with, this practice can help them. Neville told us time and again, there is nothing you can do that's more important than helping those around you. I spoke earlier about the laws of the universe, not the least of which was that which we put out comes back to us magnified. So when you work in this garden to help someone else, that same work is done on you to help you. So this practice can heal the difficulties of anyone at any time, anywhere. It's a powerful gift, and it is ours to give. So I'm going to talk you through the process. I will be guiding you through this meditation, but I want to give you an idea ahead of time of what you're looking for. And for those that are not particularly visual, give you a visual representation so you have a feeling for what it is. So, in the practice, we're going to be told to find the garden of the person that we're working on, and we will look for a withered tree that's in need of healing. Now, in this example, we have several that are we have several that looking in need of a little extra love. You decide what the person needs. That's how this works. You name the tree. Maybe you know someone who seems to lack the ability to be honest, or maybe they don't seem very compassionate to you. Then there are those virtues. There are trees of those virtues in the garden. If you feel you know someone who is not a very honest person, you can find the tree of honesty in their garden and bring healing to it. Same with compassion. Maybe you know somebody who feels unwanted or unloved. Then there are trees of self-worth. There's trees of feeling wanted. That's what needs to be worked on. When I say there are trees for every condition, I am not joking. There are trees of health. There are trees of gainful employment, good relationships, name it. There's a tree for every situation. So first you decide what it is they need, then you name the tree. No. Okay. Went ahead. So in this example, we're going to be working with this tree. You can see that back there? You find the person's garden and you look for what's needed. And know this, you cannot get it wrong. Heal whatever tree you think it is. All the roots of the trees in the garden are intertwined. So even if you guess it slightly wrong, the tree that you heal will influence the ones around it for the better. So this should relieve you of the pressure to get it right. You don't have to get it 100% right. And the next step in the process is the river. We will walk into the river, step under the waterfall that's there, and let the waters of life fill you up and flow through you. And then you guide the water to the tree that needs it. And as you're doing that, you simply imagine the tree being restored and revived. And it will happen because the waters of life can't not heal. They're called the waters of life. It's what they do. So in the tree that we were working on, you keep pouring on the water until you notice green leaves starting to appear. And you keep imagining until blossoms show up. We keep pouring on the water, and when fruit appears on the tree, then you are done. And does this work? I used it on a family member who was looking for a job, and they are now working in a job that they absolutely love. Jo has a story that she'd like to share.
What Patricia said on her family member, it was almost within a week that this job appeared. I was working on an individual, and I want to qualify what that means to be working on an individual. If you've got a situation with someone, you go into the garden and you search for their plot. And you're not trying to fix them. You're trying to allow the trees to represent back to you what the issue that person has. And what you are looking at are, it kind of goes to the neutral middle way, because the tree presents not as, oh, this person is horrible for these reasons. Rather, what presents is the underlying quality or attribute that is not thriving in that individual. And I want to say this about this practice. It is a very personal one. It's not a practice that you go off and do and then say, oh hey, Mary, guess what? I worked on you and I found all these things about you. That's not what this is. This is a practice. It's a truly healing practice. I had a situation that had gone on for several years, and when I began the work with this practice, I discovered that the individual wanted so much to be recognized for the value they bring to their community or their relationships. It was a tree of lack of confidence and a tree of lack of self-worth. And once I recognized that tree, while the tree began to develop leaves and flower, something shifted for me as well. And my entire attitude about the person shifted. And within a matter of a couple of days, something that had been an estrangement for many years was healed within a couple of days.
And that's because, what we said earlier, you're doing the inner work. You're working on their garden, but within you, and that heals you as well.
And that garden is us. That whole garden is all of us. We're not separate from one another. We just present as separate as one another.
It's the same thing that we were talking about earlier today. If you hold your arms up in a V over your head and you look beyond your fingertips, you see that there is no separation. We are one within the greater reality, and we have never left the greater reality, and we shall never leave the greater reality. So now I'd like you to take a little bit of time and think about who you would like to give this gift to. You can choose a friend or a family member or an acquaintance who is struggling in life. They might have health issues or relationship issues or a personality disorder. It really doesn't matter. You can work on them today and help them. And I want you to remember this. Everyone is worthy, and there are absolutely no exceptions to that. There is only the one consciousness. I cannot say this enough. The field, the greater reality, the light. There is only the one thing. There is only the light, and there is no darkness. Darkness is the result of forgetting who we are. Now please take a moment now to choose the person you're going to work on. All right, let's get ready and do this Garden of Eden meditation. This is for the person you have selected. Close your eyes and be in your normal meditation posture. But be very comfortable in that posture. And just begin breathing the I Am mantra. And put your attention in your belly, And inhale I and exhale am. And just become very, very still. And now put your attention in the space between your eyebrows, and again just continue inhaling I and exhaling am. And just be aware of the silence between the in-breath and the out. And now bring your attention into the center of your chest and continue to breathe in I and breathe out am. And as you exhale, just allow your awareness to be vast and boundless. And now into your spacious awareness, let's change the breath very slightly and breathe in I am and breathe out compassion, because the nature of compassion itself is limitless. And now imagine the most magnificent garden spread out before you. And let it have every wonderful plant, flower, and tree in creation. This is the great Garden of Eden, and every single person has a plot in this garden. And from the heart of Eden flows a river, the river of life. And its life-giving waters cascade down a terraced hillside. And they create rainbow-colored waterfalls. These waters heal and restore and enliven everything it touches. So imagine you are standing on the hillside near the river of life. And from here you have a view of the entire garden. You can see every plot. And you know every plot because you are the keeper of the garden. It's your job to ensure all the little plots are nourished and healthy. So now bring to mind the person you know is struggling in their life. And imagine looking out over the entire garden until you spot their plot within the greater garden. And once you see it, their plot will stand out clearly for you. Imagine all the plantings and trees in their plot. Absolutely everything is here. Trees of personal quality, like dignity, compassion, good humor. And there are feelings, trees of feelings like self-worth and being wanted and feeling loved. And trees of situations like health or gainful employment and good relationships. As you imagine their plot, you notice that some of their plantings seem withered. Even though they are withered, they will never die. But they are in need of healing waters. Their withered plants stand out so that you know they are there. And in your heart, you know what it is they are lacking and what the name of that tree is. It could be the tree of feeling loved, or being successful, or the tree of honesty. Whatever you think they need, that is the name of the tree. There may be weeds choking their garden, weeds of betrayal smothering their tree of trust or self-worth, or weeds of grief choking their tree of happiness. Breathe now and let come to you what it is they need. Now you know the tree you will work on today, so imagine stepping into the river and under the waterfall, and let those healing waters fill you and flow through you. And direct the waters wherever they are needed, simply by raising your hand and letting the water flow where it is needed. And now imagine the ground around the tree becoming moist and fertile. Imagine the weeds shriveling up and pulling back. Imagine the roots of this tree drinking up these life-giving waters. And now imagine green leaves appearing on the branches. And then blossoms begin to spring forth. And now imagine fruit beginning to appear on the tree. Once the fruit comes, you are finished. As soon as their tree is restored, the person will begin to embody the qualities of that tree. And now, bless their garden with these words. Be well, my friend, for all is well. And what about yourself? You have a plot in this garden, so imagine it. Seek it out. And send the healing waters into your little garden. And be brutally honest in your garden. And do the work that is needed. Where you find the weeds of disbelief or judgment or any unkind thought, uproot them. And water deeply the tree of seeing goodness in every person. And now we are done. I want you to take a deep breath and come solidly into your body. Feel the chair under you and your feet on the floor, your hands in your lap. Take another breath and come back into this time and space. And together, in gratitude, we say, thank you. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. When you're ready, I want you to open your eyes. All right. This is a quote from one of Edgar Cayce's readings when he was in trance. He gave this quote in response to a question on forgiveness. This is not the full quote. I'm going to give you the full quote now. There is so much goodness in the worst of us and so much bad in the best of us. It doesn't behoove any of us to speak evil of the rest of us. And then he went on. This is a universal law. And until one begins to make application of the same, one may not go very far in spiritual or soul development. And that's a pretty big thing. Buddha also taught that everyone is born good. Although some of us might stray from the path of goodness, and some might have been born into circumstances that knocked them off the path, nevertheless, everyone has Buddha nature, and anyone can return to good at any moment. Therefore, forgiveness and compassion towards everyone is fundamental in Buddhism. Nelson Mandela said this, "It never hurts to see the good in someone. They often behave better because of it." And Ruth Bader Ginsburg mother taught her, when a thoughtless or unkind word is spoken, it is best to tune it out. Reacting in anger or annoyance will not advance anyone's ability to persuade. And Gandhi, who saw nonviolence as the path to change, he said, "The essence of nonviolence is to eliminate antagonism, but not the antagonist." We're going to do the Garden of Eden meditation a second time. And this time, we're going to use the practice for someone we have issues with. Why? Because, once again, in the greater reality, we are all connected. And that which we do for others, we also do for ourselves. That's how this all works. This whole oneness thing. Neville Goddard said it like this: consciousness is God, and if you hold in consciousness anything against any man, you are binding that condition in your world. To release man from all condemnation is to set yourself free. The title of this retreat is Becoming the Catalyst. If you've gotten this far and still don't realize that the anger we harbor towards those in charge, the bad guys, the skinheads, name your poison, if you don't understand that this is also causing the rising temperatures on planet Earth, is also contributing to the loss of the species on this planet, is also polluting our environment, then let me repeat, what we put out comes back to us magnified. Individually, we create our personal reality. Together, we are creating the shared one. So are you ready to step up and be a catalyst? Are you? Let's see. We are going to go back to the garden, and we are going to work on one of these people. Believe me, we need it. I want you to choose one of these 4 people, and it can't be the person you agree with. I want you to leave the politics out of it, and I want you to realize something. Each of these individuals had a childhood that affected them. And each one of these people has the potential of stepping into the light. There is no one listening to this video who does not belong here. You are a catalyst. So are you ready to get to work? I'm going to give you a minute to pick the person of your choice, and let's do some healing.
Remember, it cannot be the one you like or agree with.
All right. So once again, close your eyes and begin breathing the I am. Simply inhale I and exhale M. And again, put your attention into your belly this time. Inhaling I and exhaling M. And allow stillness to fill you. And bring your attention to the space in between your eyebrows. Inhaling I, exhaling am, and listen to the silence between the in and out breath. And now again, put your attention in the center of your chest. Breathe in I, and breathe out am. And with each exhalation, feel your awareness. Feel that it is vast and boundless. And now into this spacious awareness, let's change the mantra slightly and breathe in I am, and out compassion. Because compassion is limitless. And now imagine the most magnificent garden is spread out before you. See all the wonderful plants and flowers and trees in all of creation. You are looking at the great Garden of Eden, with a plot for every person in this garden. You are standing on a hillside in the midst of the garden, where the river of life flows, where the life-giving waters cascade down the terraced hillside, creating rainbow-colored waterfalls. From where you stand, you have a view of the entire garden. Every plot is visible to you as the keeper of the garden. And again, remember, it is your job to ensure every plot is nourished and healthy. So now bring to mind the person you chose to work on. Look for their garden within the greater garden. And again, every tree, every quality is represented. Integrity, humor, self-worth, feeling loved, good health, good relationships. And now look over their garden carefully and notice the plants that are withered. And remember, even though they are withered, they will not ever die. But you can heal them. You can bring them back to the fullness of life. In your heart, you know the name of the plant that needs healing. It may be the tree of feeling loved or of being successful. It may be the tree of not having enough, feeling impoverished somehow. Might be the tree of honesty. Whatever it is you think they need, that's the name of the tree. These people may also have weeds that choke the life out of these trees. Weeds of betrayal and grief. So breathe in and let come to you what exactly they need. And now you know the tree you will work on today. So imagine stepping into the river and under the waterfall. And let the healing waters fill you and flow through you once again. And direct the healing waters where they are needed. Simply point your finger at the tree that is in need of healing. And let the water flow there. And as you do that, imagine the ground around the tree becoming moist and fertile. Imagine the weeds shriveling up and pulling back. And imagine the roots drinking up the life-giving waters. And now imagine green leaves beginning to appear on the branches. And now imagine blossoms filling the tree branches. And now imagine fruit begins to grow. Imagine it first as tiny little green bulbs appearing, and imagine them getting bigger, and imagine the color coming into the fruit. And once the fruit ripens, you are finished. As soon as their tree is restored, they will begin to embody the qualities of that tree. And now I ask you to bless their garden with these words. Be well, my friend, for all is well. And remember, there is no difference between you or them. And we're going to work on our own garden once again, because I know that this is a difficult exercise. Send the healing waters into your plot as well, rooting out the weeds of judgment and unkindness. And again, water the tree that gives you the ability to see the good, the greater reality in every person. And now we are complete. So take a deep breath and come solidly into your body. Feel yourself solidly in this room. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel the chair under you. Take another breath. And in gratitude we say, thank you. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And when you are ready, open your eyes.
As we said earlier, this is an extremely dynamic meditation, and one that truly does level the playing field. Most of you know Patricia, and she's developed some extraordinary meditations over the years. One of the great healing meditations is Green Tara. This one ranks right up there with it, and it is the signature piece of this retreat, because we've been doing it for the last 9 to 10 months with, as I said earlier, extraordinary results. If you keep doing it, you will find the same thing occurring. But in the meantime, especially for those watching the videotape, where you don't have an opportunity to talk about it in the actual retreat, how did it feel for you to work on a person that you disagree with? That's got to have brought up some things for you. Were you surprised at the tree that was withered? What tree was it? Did doing this meditation change your feelings about the person you worked on? If it did, how did it? Those watching the video, we would really like for you to give this your attention, spend some time with the questions, journal them, and then let us know. Send them to Patricia in an email. This is the work of being a catalyst, because what you're doing is changing you. It's a conversation changer within you.
We talked about earlier in the day, we talked about the effect of one person and the effect of many people. How 80 people in this room, when we actually did the retreat, actually it's probably closer to 50, how that could affect, what?
500,000.
500,000 people. And if you can affect 500,000 people, if you can even affect one person, we become a catalyst for what we have chosen to see. There's way too many people choosing to see hopelessness. There's way too many people who are in despair. There's way too many people who don't see any possibility of any good coming out of the world we live in. Our job as catalysts is to change that.
About 10 years ago, we taught a class called Purpose, Presence, and Vision. This is the purpose of the souls living on earth today whose consciousness has been raised in some way. This is your life purpose. This is why we're here. So, as I said, think about it, journal it, answer the questions, and send off an email to Patricia or to me. Okay, these are the last two slides. Before going on, we've presented a lot of material. I know some of the topics, especially for new people, are not that easy to understand. These are topics like the nature of reality and quantum physics or being Barbados. Some of it really is new to you. Others who've taken the classes may have forgotten, no matter how many times you attend a retreat. We're giving some thought to a Back to Basics seminar. We have no idea how it's going to be presented yet. It could be one class at a time, or we do it through a webinar so you can view it at your convenience, or in classroom style. The future is fluid, and things are going to unfold in different ways and become a new normal for all of us. But if you would be interested in a Back to Basics review, let us know that as well. Send us an email on it, and we'll figure out how many people, where all of you are located, and if we should do it in a physical session or the new world of virtual teaching. We generally have to book retreats 2 years in advance at Dayspring, and we have booked the next retreat for March 27th, 2021. Again, times are fluid. We know it's on their calendar and it's on our calendar. If you think you want to come to this one, again, let me know. Now, in the physical retreat, the rest of the afternoon will be spent doing kirtan, and Sabrina Harris will be leading that kirtan. For everybody else, this is the end of the presentation.
We thank you for attending this virtual retreat. And if you have any questions on any of the material, these are both our emails. Please write, and we'll do our best to answer them in a timely fashion. We thank you so much for attending. Blessings to each and every one. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.